A key stakeholder, of course, in this whole process is the South African Council of Educators, and I would like to show you why I'm saying that. In this professionalization pathway of teachers, the South African Council of Educators have started to look at how do we professionalize teaching from the time of recruitment right up to the point of retirement. And it started to set out on a process working with universities and with departments around saying what are the minimum requirements of becoming a teacher. Who do we admit into the teaching profession right at the start as you start at the university? And SACE is in the process of working with universities around that process. But a key part of this professionalization pathway is, of course, what happens to the newly qualified teacher after they've been appointed at the school. And that is where the induction program kicks in. But before I talk about the induction program, let me just quickly explain something. Yes, the primary objective of this program is targeted towards newly qualified teachers. But as you may know, many teachers may have left the profession and their life took a different journey. And 5 years later or 10 years later, they decide, you know what, I've explored enough, I want to come back to teaching. But teaching is a vibrant profession and it changes over the years. So if you were out of the profession for 5 to 10 years, chances are that a lot of the policies have changed, a lot of the faces in teacher education management have changed. And therefore, this orientation and this induction program is also for you. And then we also have teachers that may have come from a different country. They may be excellent teachers from where they come from, but are they accustomed to the South African context and the classrooms and the learners and the management styles of South African schools? So this induction program may also be for those teachers who've joined us from other countries in South Africa. So that is the target audience. So when we talk about a newly qualified teacher, a newly appointed teacher, we are talking of those baskets of teachers. Who are we not talking of? We're not talking about a teacher that may have been employed in school A and for many reasons have moved to school B. No, we're not talking about that teacher. That teacher is in the profession. They've been working at a particular school and all that is happening now to them is that they're moving to a next school. I hope that clarifies that issue, because that is a question that we've received from many of our participants in these meetings. So what we would like to achieve with this induction program, you will remember earlier I said that at the end of this time that you would have identified what are the gaps where you need to improve. So through the induction program, we would like to see how you link up with professional development at the end, so that it's a continuous professional teacher development process. That's why induction is not linked to the probation period, which is an HR issue. It's not linked to HR legislation, because then it would have been just a compliance exercise, something where you just tick, done it. And we do not want induction to be that. Induction is linked to your own professional development. And that is why SACE is playing such a big role. Ultimately, we would want a portfolio of evidence that will emanate from the induction program, that you will generate, to be submitted to SACE, and that will contribute to your full registration with SACE. SACE refers to it as a professional development portfolio. Now, we are not there yet, and this particular field testing is not going to have that requirement. But we are going to expect you to develop a professional development portfolio or a portfolio of evidence, because we would like to see how you've engaged with that element of the induction program. And again, we don't want it to be a burden. A good teacher will at some point during a day think back on what happened in my classroom. What could I have done differently? How could I have engaged slightly differently with one of my colleagues at school? Or how could I have spoken differently to a parent? What have I done brilliantly today that makes me feel, wow, I wish I can just continue to do that every day? So that's where the portfolio of evidence comes in. And of course, we will guide you in that journey as part of the materials that we will be given to you in developing that portfolio of evidence. But please don't see this as an add-on, an additional burden, a compliance exercise. It's part of your professional development as a teacher. So what I'm going to do now, or there's just one more thing I want to say to you. We are engaging with SACE because SACE is saying they want induction to be completed within a 12 months mandatory period. We are saying to SACE that maybe 12 months is maybe 12 months is not going to work that well. And it's going to become just a compliance exercise. And the reason why we're saying that is because schools in South Africa are at different places. School management teams in South African schools are at different points of development. And we do not want a newly qualified, a newly appointed teacher's professional progression to be compromised because of inadequacies that may have existed at the school or within the school management team. So we are looking at the moment at this induction program to straddle over a continuum of 3 years. So when the national rollout comes, we are recommending to SACE that perhaps we need to say to newly appointed teachers, within the period of 3 years, you need to achieve and submit your professional development portfolio. But we're still in discussion with SACE around that, so we may have to compromise here and there around it. But we think it makes a lot of sense.